I am. Saints camp opens tomorrow, so I'm excited about that. Certainly, as the Houdads get back on the practice field, you probably noticed yesterday a little jersey swap. So Mark Ingram and Andy Dalton have switched numbers. So Dalton will be back in his customary number 14. Mark Ingram will wear number 5. CD Deuce, of course, wearing 22. Devin Ozigbo wearing 28. I can't imagine, though, how Mark Ingram couldn't get 28 back if he wanted it from Ozigbo. That's just strange to me that a guy, the Saints' all-time leading rusher, can't get his jersey number back from Divine Ozigbo. Anyway, well, and by the way, also the odd part about that is Tyrann Mathieu said he wanted to wear number 5 in honor of the 5th Ward, where his grandmother was from, and Quan Alexander was wearing number 5 last year for the Saints. So might suggest that Quan won't be back, or if he is, he'll be in a new number. Saints are going to work out 2 players. They've already signed 1 player from the USFL, and now they've signed, or they're working out, Chris Odom. Chris Odom was the USFL's Defensive Player of the Year, and he has a workout for the Saints today. He led the USFL with 12.5 sacks, which was by far and away the most. He played for the Houston Gamblers. He blocked 4 kicks. Crazy. He played high school actually with Myles Garrett, if you could imagine that. Those two on the same defensive line. But he's been around the NFL a little bit. Falcons, Packers, Dolphins, Commanders. Actually played with Green Bay in 2017 in 7 games, 4 games with Washington in 2019. But sometimes this is just what it takes, right? You go get on the field and you're able to really pop off and put out good game film. And maybe that gives you the opportunity. So, again, Chris Odom, USFL Defensive Player of the Year, he's working out for the Saints today. And maybe the more notable one that people will be interested in is Jordan Howard. So, Jordan Howard, we've talked so much about the running back spot, and the Saints looking to add a running back. They made an offer to Sony Michel, who took less to go to Miami. They worked out David Johnson, but ultimately did not offer him a contract. We talked about other free agents like Darrell Williams, who ultimately signed with Houston. And Darrell Williams signed with Houston, didn't he? It's been a minute now. I'm trying to remember. Arizona. He went from KC to Arizona. So anyway, Gus, we talked about Tariq Cohen, who, of course, tore his Achilles in the workout video. So they have, in earnest, tried and looked for running backs, and so they're going to work out Jordan Howard today to see if he might be an answer. They've just got to. I mean, they've just got to add running back help with the uncertainty around Alvin Kamara, with Mark Ingram, later in his career. I would love to see Abram Smith, the rookie out of Baylor, work out and be a terrific pro and stick the way a lot of the Saints undrafted rookie free agent running backs have throughout the years, from Pierre Thomas to Chris Ivory, or the long list of them. So would love it if Abram Smith is next, but we'll see. So Jordan Howard spent last year in Philly, played in just 7 games, averaged nearly 5 yards a carry, 4.7 yards a carry, again, playing just 7 games. Looking back, he's best known, obviously, for his time in Chicago. Where he was a Pro Bowler as a rookie. Ran for 1,300 yards as a rookie with the Bears. He averaged over 5.2 yards a carry. I'm looking at the stat line here. So, 3 seasons with the Bears, and then with the Philly in 2019. Played for both Miami and Philly in 2020. Then back in Philly in 2021 now as a free agent. So, That could be sort of the veteran depth you need. He's only 27 years old, so still a relatively young player. Considering Mark Ingram's over 30 years old, and you got a veteran guy here who's still pretty young. Okay, so y'all know the drill. Fire away. Anything you got about anything. Happy to answer all your questions. We got a Game Coin board meeting this morning at 9 a.m. Looking forward to that call. Had a long call last night on it as well. So I know a lot of y'all ask about Game Coin updates, and it's really, 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 really exciting. So, all right, we'll say some good mornings here. Trivia Carter, Tim Gotro, Matt Lynn, Jesse Brown. Good morning. What position battle are you looking at for Saints this training camp? Jesse, was interesting. Had Mike Triplett on the show yesterday, and we did sort of a training camp preview. And the oddity is when you have when you have a really talented roster, you don't necessarily have a lot of positions up for grabs. So, I would say, and I don't mean for this in any way to be a cop-out, I'm curious about left tackle because I know Trevor Penning's a first-round pick, but I'm curious about left tackle because you got Penning and James Hurst. Does the rookie beat him out? That'll be really interesting to me. And then, I think the rest of your starting lineup, I think you already know how that's going to go. So then it comes down to okay, where are their roster spots available? Can Abram Smith make the roster? I am really interested to watch tight end to see how that goes. We know Adam Troutman's going to make the team, but does Taysom Hill actually fill the roster as a tight end? Does Nick Van Nett make the team? Can the undrafted rookie out of Pitt make the team? Those are the things that I think are really interesting. Not necessarily starters, but who earns roster spot 49, 50, 51, and 52. Let's see. Jeremiah Hardell, Cliff Nelson, good morning. Crazy news about John Mechie. Yeah, man. Definitely prayers to John Mechie. Supposedly it's a very treatable form of leukemia, which is great news. But still, man, what a year for him. Tearing his ACL and now having the leukemia diagnosis. Hey, Larry Garner, good morning. Jeremiah, who would win the job, Alontae Taylor or Bradley Roby? Yeah, I mean, I don't know that they're competing against each other. I think Bradley Roby probably is more of your nickel. And I know that you got C.D. Deuce, but he plays more of that nickel safety role. But, I think you're more looking like Paulson Adebo or Alontae Taylor outside is really the interesting battle. Opposite Marshawn Lattimore. Glenn Garner, good morning. Big interviews this morning. Big interview this morning. Excited to see how the workout comes out. Big interview this morning. Excited to see how the workout comes out. Glenn, are you saying you have a big interview this morning and the workout comes out? Elaborate a little bit there. Sorry. Spurge, what's up? Jeff, good morning. Hope all is well in Memphis this week. Jeremiah, can Hurst move to guard? Yes. He's a swing player, but remember, Jeremiah, you've already got McCoy at center. You've got Ruiz and Pete at guards. Ramchik's your right tackle. So left tackle is really the spot that's open. I suppose if Ruiz really struggles, you could kick Hurst inside, but it kind of feels like Throckmorton would be your rotational guard there, your next guy in. So, I'm really most interested to see if Penny can beat out Hurst at left tackle. And if not at the start of the season, does it happen at some point during the season? Jason H., good morning. Shelby Kelly, great time to be an LA sports fan. LSU baseball, I guess Louisiana sports fan. LSU baseball, women's basketball on the cusp of natties. Men's basketball, football changing direction. Saints looking for a title run. Pels, something to be excited about. That's true. Very true. Kirk Taylor, Kelly Gross, good morning. Kirk said, what was the big NIL news? Okay, so I don't know if y'all were paying attention to AFR yesterday, but so on Friday, I got a call from someone at LSU saying, hey, we're going to drop some big NIL news on Monday. Are you interested in having Taylor Jacobs on the show? So Taylor Jacobs is LSU's compliance coordinator. I said, absolutely. Thanks for the heads up. So, but they did not tell me what the news was. So I keep waiting all throughout the day, yesterday, for that NIL news to drop, and I don't see anything. Then at some point, maybe early afternoon, I see the news about the movie The Mascot. I don't know if y'all saw this drop yesterday, but basically, there's a major motion picture that's going to be filmed at LSU using LSU's name and likeness and mascot and logos and all that sort of stuff. Where the theme, or the plot is, there's a quarterback on the football team who basically gets cut. He's a walk-on. He gets cut, and then his only way back close to the program is he becomes the mascot. He becomes Mike the Tiger. So the filmmakers originally approached the University of Georgia about it. They passed, so now LSU's going to do it. They're also going to use athletes and students in the cast as an NIL opportunity. So I thought that was the news. So I get Taylor Jacobs on the show. I'm like, so tell us about this movie. She's like, well, I really don't know much about it. I'll have to dig into it. I'm like, so in my brain, I'm going, oh my God. Like, I thought that's why you were coming on the show, to break this news, or to talk about this news. And now I have no idea what to talk about. If you ever want to see how you very quickly on air have to think on your feet and pivot, that's a great example of it. So then I just sort of redirected to talk about NIL, and she ultimately got to what was the big news, which is LSU has formed an NIL division within compliance. Basically, since Louisiana changed the state law, coaches, admins can now facilitate NIL deals, which was not legal under the original law. If a player was looking for an NIL deal, or a business came, LSU could not act as an intermediary. Now they can. Now a coach can say, hey, player X, so-and-so business is interested, here's a contact for you. Like, that was not allowed before. And in other states like Texas, it was. Like, the original law in Alabama did not allow for that, but once Texas did, Alabama quickly changed their law. So that was part of the Louisiana state law changing, allowed stuff like that. So that was the news, Kirk, that LSU has formed an NIL division within its athletic department. And if you go back and watch the first segment of hour number 2 of AFR yesterday, you will see me, and I was teasing the whole time about the movie. I mean, I thought that's what we were talking about. And it very quickly on air pivot. All right, y'all, smash that like button if you're watching on YouTube. Appreciate it as always. And subscribe up to the YouTube channel if you haven't. It's free. Just hit the red subscribe button. That allows you to the videos post in your feed whenever we post videos. So, and then Facebook, please like the Matt Moscone page and share the post. David Coslin, Charlie Cavell, Brian Pinton, good morning from Shorewood, Illinois. Brian Broom, Stephen Fry, Henry Gordon Bennett, morning, Matt. So it seems like no one is talking about the 2 LSU linebackers being medically released from the roster. It seems like a big deal. Thoughts? Yeah, you know what? Good point. And we did talk yesterday. You know what? I probably should have mentioned it yesterday on AFR. So, hang on. Oops. Okay, here we go. All right, so I guess this was over the weekend, or maybe it was late last week. It was 2 linebackers, Philip Webb and Antoine Sampa. Both were no longer listed on LSU's roster. This is while it was last week. It was while we're at media days. So we obviously didn't talk about it because we're in the midst of media days and all that sort of stuff. But I should have talked about it yesterday because we did talk about linebackers because Micah Baskerville was named to the Butkus Award watch list. But Antoine Sampa, Philip Webb, 2 guys who, in their career were backups but were highly recruited prospects. Like Antoine Sampa was a 4-star. He was the number 97 overall prospect in the country. He was the number 6 inside linebacker. And Philip Webb was, pulling up their composite. Webb was big, 6'4", 225. So Philip Webb was number 57 nationally. So you had two dudes that were in the top 100 nationally at their position and didn't really break through at LSU. And I often say this, like if you haven't gotten on the field usually by year 3, it's probably not going to happen. So if you're those two guys and you look around and you go, okay, well, LSU signs 5-star Harold Perkins. Mike Jones came in as a transfer. You brought in West Weeks as a transfer. You brought in Colby Fields as a transfer. I think they looked around and realized, it may not happen. Now, as far as the medical deal, I haven't looked into like what their injuries were. If that's just a medical disqualification at LSU, so that way they could stay on scholarship, or if they're actually planning on continuing to play somewhere else, don't know. But that does definitely affect your depth at the position, right? I mean, those are two guys who've been around. I'd still maintain when you look at, your what is very likely your top 3 guys with Baskerville, Mike Jones, and Greg Penn. I think you feel good there, but the question then obviously becomes depth with those guys gone. So then, West Weeks, Colby Fields, the transfers I just mentioned, and then Harold Perkins. So you got 6 guys you feel like can rotate in there, but you lose 2 veteran guys, and that matters. 2 former top 100 guys. Not that dissimilar from what we talk about, like on the D line, right? Excuse me. Like on the D line. So you lose Joseph Evans. Okay. Well, Evans is a veteran guy, has been around for 3-4 years, and it played some good football for you. Well, it wasn't going to be a starter, but when that guy is your next guy off the bench, now you go down the roster to what likely would be a true freshman taking Joseph Evans' spot in the rotation. So that's where it hurts you. Not on your starting line, but on your depth when you lose a guy like that. Planning for the what if. Randy Bennett, Brant Roban, Warner from Knoxville. Sports talk here is very high on Tennessee, thinking they will have no problem with LSU since first-year coach. You think Tennessee fans are delusional? LOL. Brant, I wouldn't say that Tennessee will have no problem with LSU, but that is a game that I worry about from an LSU perspective, just because I know, I'm probably higher on Hendon Hooker than most. I would say I'm high on Hendon Hooker this year like I was on Matt Corral last year. And Corral had a very good year, obviously. I just know in that offense, they are going to snap the ball very quickly. They are going to sling it around the yard. They're going to score a lot of points. I also don't know if Tennessee can stop anybody from scoring. They don't have great talent defensively, and when your offense goes that quickly, your defense is just going to be on the field a ton. So, but that's the kind of game that kind of always worries me, because you could find yourself in a 45-41 game. And when it's like that, nobody can stop anybody, then it's kind of like, all right, well, who has the ball last? Who can get one stop? And that's just always a little nerve-wracking. Preston Schulze, morning, Matt. When does LSU start camp? August the 4th. Deborah Coward, good morning. Hey, Dad, morning from Laurel and Aiden, who are leaving today. Oh. That's my niece and nephew, who have been in town with my sister from Kansas for several weeks now, and they're heading back today. We all have a very safe trip. I love you both very much, and I can't wait to see you again next time. Oh, I don't know if Trivia is watching yet, but this is for him.
When you need a roof, call someone you know. Scone, Ontario.
All you need is HUDCO.
Call HUDCO Roofing.
364.
1007.
All right, Jeremiah says, glad to be a Saints fan so it can offset the hurt I get when I watch the Cubs play. Hey, man, you got your title in 16. That should hold you over. Although it's been a minute now. Eric Waterwater, morning, Matt. Sure you've been asked, but will you and T-Bob still do the bi-weekly pod once the season kicks off? Good question, Eric. My understanding is that we are. I did not know that because I thought once we went to the on-site pod, we were just going to do once a week. My understanding is we will do a Monday pod in studio, like a weekend recap, and then Wednesday we'll do like the preview. Whereas last year we did it on Thursday. Something to keep in mind, y'all. This year, the Brian Kelly show, the coaches show, is moving to Thursday. I don't know if I'm breaking news there or anything, but the Brian Kelly, like the coaches show forever and ever and ever, has always been on Wednesdays. Moving to Thursday this year, so that's why I don't think we'll be doing Scone and Tea on Thursday. I think we'll keep it on Wednesday at Oliver Twist during the season. So you will probably have a Monday Scone and Tea in studio, and then a Wednesday Scone and Tea live on remote. T-Bob's slightly less attractive cousin. Hello, good morning. Bye, babe. Have a good day. Tim Gotro, wouldn't surprise me if Penning starts off as the swing lineman before working his way into the starting lineup like Pete and Zach Strief did. Like that tackle eligible deal. Maybe so. The Will Clapp role. Let's see, Calvin Throckmorton has to be one of the coolest names in the NFL. It certainly is an offensive lineman, right? Throckmorton, big giant dude with wearing 76 and a name like Throckmorton. That is true. Tennessee's like the 2011 Saints. No. Jeremiah, you were thinking of the 2012 Saints. You were thinking of the 2012 Saints. The 2011 Saints were the best Saints team ever. The 2012 Saints, without Sean Payton, were one of the best offensive teams and literally had the worst defense in the history of the NFL. That was the Bounty Gate year when Payton was out. Defensively, trying to see if I can find a points per game. Yeah, you had to be talking about 2012. 2012 was that. Breeze threw for 5,000 yards, and the Saints literally allowed more yards and more points than any defense in the history of the NFL. That would be a good comp. That might be what you mean. Yes, 12. Weston Weaver, good morning. Trivia, I am watching. That's not for me. I don't live in Louisiana. Trivia, just so you know, HUDCO can do work outside of Louisiana. So, trivia, I know you're there in Pensacola. Maybe, a business owner. There's a big commercial job that needs to be done. Maybe like a shopping center needs a new roof. A large business complex needs a new roof. We'd love to come help you. HUDCO Roofing, HUDCOroofing.com. Keep us in mind. Patrick Ramos, we still get whiskey and wine in the fall as well. Scone and tea about 3 days a week. Looks that way. Patrick and tea. Well, I mean, whiskey and wine is a definite for sure. And I'm almost positive that our contract with Oliver Twist is for 2 episodes a week during the fall, but 1 on site. Irfan Sayyad, good morning. All right, y'all, smash that like button if you haven't done so yet. Do a couple more minutes here. Where are we on Facebook? Randy Bennett, good morning. Samuel Merrifield, is Gavin Guidry the only two-way player on the baseball team? What kind of pitcher is he? Yeah, I think he is probably going to project more as a middle infielder next season. Or, heck, I guess he could play third base too. But, yes. Samuel Merrifield, do you think Ramchick goes to the left side as tackle? I do not, Samuel. I mean, I know there's the clause in his contract, right, that if he gets X amount of snaps at left tackle, he gets a bump. It was $1 million in his contract. So they have at least prepared for the possibility of that happening. But I don't think so, for the same reason that I think you've seen Eric McCoy stay at center. Like Ruiz would be a better center than guard, but McCoy's been so good at guard. I'm at center. If you move McCoy, then you disrupt 2 spots. Same with Ramchick. Ramchick could play left tackle, I have no doubt, but he was a left tackle in college. But he is arguably the best right tackle in all of the NFL. So why would you disrupt 2 spots? Kelly Groves, whoops, man. The Facebook comments keep resetting to the top. I hate that. Don't say it, trivia. We already know. Renee Marks, good morning. What do you think of LSU's offensive line? Renee, I think it's literally the single biggest question on the entire team. I know everyone's curious about quarterback, and I agree. I'm curious as well. I think you've got plenty of talent at the skill positions, receiver, running back. Tight end is what it is. It's just not going to be a really strong point on this team. I think your defensive line is really talented. I think you have a lot of options at linebacker, and you will have some, emerge. And I think you address the secondary in the portal, which you have experience and talent. I don't think you have a first-round pick back there like you would have with Elias Ricks, but you have enough guys that have played that I think will be competent, provided they'll play together as a whole. The single biggest question you have is the offensive line. You lose 4 starters from a year ago. The only returning starter is Cam Wire, and he may not even be a starter on this team. So there's 2 ways to look at it. I've told you all this before. There's 10 players on LSU's team that on the offensive line that have started at some point. 10. And there's 2 sides of that coin. You could say, well, that's great. You got all these guys who have started. You got a lot of options, which I guess is true. The flip side of it is if you have 10 guys that have all started and none of them have locked down a starting job, that's a problem. When about the only thing you know for certain is a true freshman is going to be starting at left tackle, that's a problem. Now, he's a beast, and I think Will Campbell's going to be a generational player, and provided he stays healthy, will go on to be a high draft pick and have a great NFL career. But that's a gigantic question. I'm not saying they won't figure it out. I'm just saying that is a gigantic question mark. I think the biggest on the team. David Tolson, good morning from the Springs. Okay. Richie Burt, found a bottle of McKenna 10. Excited to crack that open soon. Yes, sir. It's a great pour, man. That was one of those that was like $35 a couple of years ago. It won a gold medal at the International Wine and Spirits competition in San Francisco. Now it's like $50 and you can't find it. Brian Wynn, who do you like in the Subway Series between the Mets and Yankees? What kind of question is that? Do you think Brian Kelly can win a natty faster than Kirby Smart did at Georgia? He recruited so well at UGA for many years, seemed to still take a while. Why Brian Kelly could be better. So, Brant, remember, Kirby had Georgia in the natty in year 2 against Alabama, and they blew it. I mean, Tua came off the bench and led the second half heroics, and Georgia kind of gagged it away. And, of course, Bama won in overtime with the touchdown pass to Devontae Smith. So, yes, it took them 6 years, but they were in the natty in year 2. So, generally speaking, within the first 3 years is when you have your best opportunity. You get several of your recruiting classes in, you change culture, especially now with transfers, you can supplement more easily. So, I mean, I certainly think it's possible that within 3 years, LSU could be there. Michael Cook, good morning. Jason Austin, let's be honest, O-line wasn't very good last year, so this year's line should be an upgrade. But Jason, I mean, I'll tell you the exact same thing that I said a year ago. When you had everybody back, remember, you had Deculus and Ingram and Shanahan. You had all these guys back. Jason Hines, you had them all back. And the thing I told you last year was just because you have everybody back from a bad offensive line doesn't mean you're better. Those guys have to improve. And the line wasn't good last year. So, are you any better? I don't know. I could argue that all the guys on this team couldn't beat out the guys last year that weren't very good. So, I mean, there's 2 ways to look at it. And I'm not going to apologize for it. I'm just really going to need I'm just going to need, I just got to see it. I just absolutely have to see it. Let's see. Where is it? Someone just asked about Jaden Newt. Rhoda Ewell said, any truth to Jaden Newt signing? I'll put it to you this way, Rhoda. He went in the 19th round, by the way. No, I don't see. Well, here's the thing. Jim Callis from MLB.com is tweeting all of the deals. Like, so go follow Jim Callis on Twitter. If Jaden Newt signed, he would have the info there on the deal. I mean, he's all over it. So if Jim Callis hasn't tweeted it yet, I'm going to say he hasn't signed, because he seemingly has had every single signee in there, and what they signed for. So yeah, nothing yet, man, on Newt. 19th round, man. I think you feel pretty good about getting that kid on campus. That's a team taking a flyer on a kid who probably passed on good money early, and they said, "Oh, we'll just take you with a late round pick to see if we have any possibility of signing you at some point." So. Mark Allen Campbell would have beaten out everyone except for Ingram. Maybe Mark, maybe not. Like, I think Will Campbell's going to be fantastic, but you're also talking about a true freshman in the SEC that you've only seen gone through spring practice. It's just a little different when the bullets are flying for real. You got to see it, man. I think he's going to be great. Don't misunderstand me, but like, you are going off of nothing that your eyes have seen. You're going off of things that you've read or heard, and the expectation on a young prospect. Like, that's the reality. So, Brandon, Brian Kelly is our head coach when Saban retires. Do you think he could be the new superpower of the SEC? Sure. I mean, Kirby's still going to be at Georgia, so. All right, two more. Any chance you and T-Bob can get Otter to do an occasional guest spot on Whiskey and Wine? Probably, Tim. He'd probably be down for it. And one more, since Mark Ingram has number 5, is it almost a lock for Matthew to wear 32? Unless, Jeremiah, the one thing I'll tell you potentially is wait for camp roster cuts, and then you could see jersey numbers open. It wouldn't surprise me to see Ingram get a different number if when roster cuts come. I'm just so surprised. Like, I think, so I know last year, Zigbo wore 28, and CD Deuce has 22. So I mean, Ingram's not getting 22, but I'm pretty sure. Let's see if Zigbo is still on the roster, and he is wearing 28. So like, if you're Mark Ingram, couldn't you go to Zigbo and be like, "Hey, undrafted guy that never plays, I'm gonna need that number." You know what I mean? A little bizarre. Anyway, all right. Daniel Sinets, what's up? All right, I'm going to bounce. I think we're done. Y'all have an awesome, awesome day. As always, shout out to Brock Rock and Wine. Coming up a week from Saturday, y'all, August the 6th, in the South Stadium Club over at Tiger Stadium. brortho.com, brortho.com, and Hudco Roofing, hudcoroofing.com. Tell you every day. Do business with someone you know, Hudco Roofing, hudcoroofing.com. Oop, Mark Hawkins got one in. Let's see. First off, good morning. I love your work. Thank you, Mark. I love you. Now, who do you see as a starting quarterback? Do you think we can win 9 games? Because I see us winning 10. Never gotten that one before. Just kidding, Mark. I literally get that question every morning here, but it's all good because you were nice. I personally think it's going to be Jaden Daniels. I know that's not popular. I know that's not what fans think or want. I'm just using, and I don't know anything. I'm just using deductive reasoning. If they were content with their quarterbacks, they wouldn't have brought Daniels in. Daniels has started 30 games in his career. He's by far the most experienced, and he is a dynamic runner, which is something Brian Kelly and Mike Denbrock both value in a quarterback. So I think they'll all play, but I think Jaden Daniels will be the guy. Drew's backpack's beeping. And I think LSU's ceiling is 9. I do not see a path to winning 10 games in the regular season. So ceiling 9, I probably would pick them 8-4 if I had to pick, maybe 7-5, but I think that's about where they fall. So, all right, y'all have an awesome day. Appreciate y'all for watching. Like the page, share the post. We appreciate y'all. Facebook, YouTube, smash that like button, and LSU Daily coming up today. Oh, real quick, if you've been looking for the podcast, remember we've been having issues with Apple. Our tech people are working with Apple to resolve it. But all of our pods are live on Spotify. So if you want AFR on demand, Spotify. If you want LSU Daily, Spotify. It's all there for you. Okay, see y'all. Peace.